One, we have to speak about digital inclusion. Two, we have to talk about financial inclusion. And then three, we have to speak about security, or what we ideally call cyber security. How do the three synergize? Of course, when we talk about things later, maybe in our conversation, when we talk about things like advancements in financial inclusion, we realize that we needed to have access to technology, to devices and all that, and the role it is played. But in the same way, we realize that we would never get anywhere without connectivity. So the story is that we are in a space right now where 17 years ago, even having a smartphone was seen as luxurious. Today, we are in an age where it is a necessity for one to have a phone, and for that matter, a smartphone, to run and operate business any day, anytime. That in 2005, when you had a friend, a colleague, a girlfriend, a boyfriend, a parent that you wanted to send money in the village, if you couldn't send it physically, if you couldn't have them have access to a financial transaction account, then the only way you could send money to them is sending them airtime. You send airtime somewhere to someone, maybe an agent or someone who sells scratch cards, and then maybe send them 100,000 shillings. Then the agent takes maybe 10,000 off it and give them 90,000 or 80,000. Today, everyone has the right to send money to any mobile wallet. Today, anyone has the right to load airtime using mobile money easily, using their bank wallet, and then they're able to even share it with 1,000 people or anyone they wish. And that's the future. The future is saying we are going to have an ecosystem and an economy where almost everything, life runs on a digital rail. Whether you're doing agriculture, you have to connect with technology. Whether you're doing healthcare, whether you're doing e-commerce, whatever you're going to be doing, the future lies in the rails of digitization. Well, digitization and innovation. First of all, from a perspective of myself and HiPiPo, well, for myself, I remember days when I was in about P3, I wanted to be a pilot because I loved the tabs. I tried going to an aero school somehow. I would go back later and be a pilot one time. But the urge was digitization, technology, the tabs, controlling systems and economies from a centralized point that is more democratic, that is more transparent. So innovation, and especially in this age and time, and anywhere else, cannot happen without information. So if there is no information, then it means there is no innovation for many reasons, or there is no ways of scaling what we want to innovate about. I remember the time when we did the top 1,000 taxpayers survey, looking at how they're making use of digital rails to reach out to their customers. And by then, less than 40% had websites. Today, it's a must for everyone to have a website. It's a must for everyone to have a social media platform. It's a must for all of them to look for an article or two online, to look for a podcast or a video interview online. Why? Because digitization is that deep. So digital innovation, or innovation and digitization align in a way that if we want to innovate as much, we must be informed as much. But then let's take this to a broader perspective. Look at industries like tourism. Then look at the bigger conversations like foreign direct investment. So you can speak about things like remittances in that matter. I mean, digitization is an enabler of a seamless way of allowing an acceleration of foreign direct investment. If, for instance, we can create local content and it is sellable on internet, we are going to have a foreign currency paid to us because we are leveraging digital rails. That is it. If we are promoting tourism, and our promoting tourism is saying we should have our stories told every other day in the most unique way, And we want as many tourists and as many global citizens understand what is happening in Uganda. Digitization gives us a free rail. And it's very democratic that all we need is to have people search for the keywords, search for a country, for the lions they want to find, the zebras and whatever, and they'll find the content in the same way. And that is digitization and the role. But also in governance, what do we want to have the government doing? What system do we want to connect? Who is paying government? What are they paying it? You're paying taxes, you're paying fees and all that. I mean, you're paying school fees, whatever it may be. Digitization bridges the gap. You want to do education. You see what happened to us in COVID for 2 years. I imagine if we had a plan earlier of putting in place an e-learning scheme that could allow anyone else in the country to study, either using internet or using voice, using a mobile phone or radio or TV, because it's all digitization. We could never have any child stay home for 2 years without studying, and we could affordably do this, and that is the role of digitization. So we are speaking to having, I mean, Africa alone in the last year had about 500 billion, yeah, of $500 million of direct foreign investment through digital rails and through just direct content. And this can be multiplied very easily because there are millions of Africans in the diaspora, there are millions of Ghanaians in the diaspora, there are millions of people interested in investing in our ecosystem, and the only thing they need is to find ways of how to connect back home. I mean, of course, Uganda, to be more specific, is a country of people who easily get on board, who adapt to things. So you'll imagine that almost everyone has hired or has gotten transport means, maybe using their mobile app, and that's adoption. You imagine that people now want to check for healthcare facilities using internet. Very many people are using Google Maps to reach places they have never been to, even within the small city of Kampala. But a lot of adoption is happening. I mean, people who used to send airtime as means of sending money to people love to send money to their mothers, their grandmothers in the villages, because they have adapted. The number of mobile devices alone, the smartphones that we had in 2014 and compared to 2022 has multiplied by 4 times, meaning people are actually loving to be a part of this.
You've talked to us about that, but we also want to know the role or contribution of government in shaping up digital innovation space.
Well, thank you for that question. Of course, sustainable growth or development cannot happen without intervention of government. For many reasons, government is supposed to be at the front line of anything innovation because one, they offer us leadership, guidance, they help us in shaping policy, regulation, and all kind of stuff. And our government has been, for many reasons, very instrumental in helping in co-investing in infrastructure, in co-creating rules and regulations for digitization, for mobile access, for financial inclusion, things like mobile money. We have the new startups, we have the big players. The big players, some of them are owners of trillions of assets. And then the small players are owners of computers and laptops and phones. That's all they have as their capital and the individuals. Mm-hmm. And they all want to be put into a situation where they can be a part of the innovation conversation every single day and contribute to their national growth. Mm-hmm. And we believe that some of them have been really let out a little bit. I mean, being a part of the national regulatory sandbox alone costs $1 million shillings non-refundable for a startup. And I have had conversations with very many startups that cannot afford to have $1 million shillings. In 3 months, just pay for that before you have a lot of the required KYC documentation. So yes, government is supporting, but we believe it is time for government to come even closer. So we have peer-to-peer discussions of stakeholders and government to help in making sure we create more enabling policies and regulations for all of us. Sometimes it's maybe because government has not been well informed. The one thing I like about our government is that when they get burnt, they run away very easily and they never go back to that bad place. So when the mobile money taxes, the OTT and all that were brought, when government realized they were losing more money, they decided to go back in the kitchen and they're not here anymore. Why? Because they realized that it was government losing more. I mean, when you have an overhead tax on mobile money, what happened within the first whole year of having the 1% was that most people who are sending more than £1,000,000 on mobile money resorted to using borders. They withdraw the money, they get it on a border, they pay a 3K, they deliver the money and go back in peace. Why? Because they didn't find any reason of actually having to use mobile money, much as these digital payment solutions offer other advantages. Well, fintechs or financial technology companies are a new world miracle, and we thank God that they exist. Someone will ask, why are they a miracle? Well, in 2009, in Uganda, the entire economy, we had a maximum of 3.7 million transactional accounts. Yeah.
In banks or?
In banks.
Okay.
When mobile money came, we are counting 20s of millions in a shift of just 13 years. Yet, 2009 had marked about 95 years of banking existing in the country, but we never registered even 5 million accounts. See the acceleration? But these figures are not only unique to Uganda. They have happened all over Africa. In the last 13 years across the continent, we've had more than 637 million transaction accounts registered, unique, yeah? And that is acceleration. And if you wanted to ask me that, okay, what role do fintechs play? That is their role. They're accelerators. They not only magnify impact, they accelerate. But also, more importantly, when we talk about things like what we call the 3PPI, the third-party payment initiation, that is the next one of the next miracles for innovation in fintech. You're going to see very many players, innovators, allow payment initiation without having to hold money. So money keeps safe, yet transactions are happening everywhere. But also, lastly, we are having a big conversation on interoperability. And interoperability cannot happen without intervention of fintechs. They are the best creators of the right technology that seamlessly connects with APIs to create seamless peer-to-peer, bilateral, switch-related payment solutions. I mean, you want to be in a situation where when I have a mobile wallet, whatever network, I can pay anyone without having to ask them which bank, which network they're using. I can conveniently do that. And that can only happen because we have financial technology playing.
Isn't that putting fintechs and banks on a collision course? Because
well,
we've seen, issues around within the industry, banks accusing fintechs of, sabotaging the banking industry.
Well, it happens in every other world. When I am a man and there is a man who wants a woman that I like, and they take the woman, yeah, the next thing that happens is I might say or speak badly about them because I am thinking they are a bad person, but maybe they are helping me, yeah. So until when we get to appreciate something. Now, this is not even the situation with fintechs and banks. The situation is we came into this place to complement the great works. I mean, banking is a necessary thing any single day. But then, it is not a must that banks are as necessary in the same way. The bankers understand what banking should do as a service, what banking should be as an industry for all of us. So they help in shaping the governance, the regulation, the policies, the safety of our money. Then the innovators come in to simplify ways of accelerating the usage of the same solutions. So today, every single bank is out there telling people we have a mobile banking application, we have a digital payment platform, we have ABCD. Why? Because we've come to consensus The bankers have realized that it is not a fight, it's not a battle, it's not a war either. It is a place for us to actually collaborate and create synergies that allow us to move progressively forward without having to fight each other. First of all, leadership has to be very deliberate. I'm not talking about government, not just the president, no. Whether it's a ministry level, whether it's sectors, whether it's departments, whether it's our associations. Deliberate with goals. What do we want to see of our nation, of our region, of our continent? Yeah. Can we do it together? Two, we have to collaborate. Whoever thinks they are going to be fighting in an innovation space is fighting themselves alone. Why? As you're thinking that you're unique, there are ladies in Makerere that are creating your solution much better than you are. And the only reason that makes you unique in the end is being able to solve the problems of people you intended to. So can we get to work? Can we collaborate and create the rules and rails so that we can compete on the applications and the products rather than having to fight on even the rules and the rails? It is very important. So we need to collaborate in that space. And then we also need to have better facilities, better funding, better infrastructure for connectivity, more affordable internet, and of course better policies. If you are a good writer, you begin writing, after a year, you can have 365 articles if they're good enough. After 10 years, you'll have 3,065 articles. I mean 3,650 articles written because you have a smartphone. But the value you create, if you are writing about stories of people that are doing things differently in the world, you will have saved to solve so many problems of those who think that the world is only full of evil, of bad people, for instance. But that's just a simple example. If you are a photographer, I keep telling my friends who want to be photographers, if you cannot afford a high-tech camera today, can you get down and use a phone and say, every day I'm going to be taking photos and telling my stories my way? How about if they're supposed to be able to transform an entire city and you just don't look at it that way? So the opportunities are, you want to learn, go on internet, listen to a radio, watch a TV that is educative, because the information is out there. You should do that. But then, we are also now connected to a global village. You are in Uganda, in the same time, real time, you can talk to someone in Australia, someone in Johannesburg, someone in Sydney, wherever they are. And that is what digitization is, and that's the opportunities we have. Of course, we always tell people that ensure that you maximize your digital dividend. Sounds hard, but let me simplify it now. If you are investing in technology, think of making sure that you get the most value out of everything you invest in. Okay. If it is a TV, get the most value. If it is a phone, get the most value. If it is a laptop, get the most value out of it. Our new world gold mines lie in the devices we are buying. They lie in the data we pay for every single day. So be wise enough, make use of it to become the world's next billionaire.